Today marks the one-year anniversary of the Charleston church shooting, and events to commemorate the event and to show solidarity for the victims who are still processing what happened a year ago are ongoing. The church will hold several services and events Friday in memory of the 9 victims, Reverend Clementa Pinckney, Tuanza Sanders, Reverend Sharonda Singleton, Cynthia Hurd, Reverend DePayne Middleton Doctor, Ethel Lance, Susie Jackson, Myra Thomas, and Reverend Daniel Simmons Sr. Charleston Mayor John Tecklenburg and other officials are calling for improved background checks on people who purchase assault rifles as part of the national conversation that we're having around that incredibly lofty goal for gun control, that maybe with a particularly deadly class of weapons, we can at least ask people questions before they get them. And to update you on where we stand in terms of the case, federal prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for the suspect. He is charged with 33 federal offenses, including hate crime charges for allegedly targeting his victims on the basis of their race and religion. A judge entered a not guilty plea on his behalf in July 2015. He told investigators he wanted to start a race war, according to one law enforcement official. Roof's state case is scheduled to go on trial in January. His federal trial has not yet been scheduled. I would assume that him saying that he did the act to start a race war would cancel out the not guilty plea.
Or the
and
allegedly.
Too. I'm not in law enforcement or the judicial system.
But we know someone who was.
Oh, that's true.
Oh.
Okay. What do you think?
What we really see in these is that we expect the oppressed or the lower that we treat in our society to take these shootings like it's just regular part of the day. But then even when it comes to Sandy Hook, we allowed innocent children to be slaughtered in a school, and we still didn't do anything. And who is criticizing and who is fighting is the same people that are standing up and telling Black Lives Matter protesters that they're too violent while they're talking about taking assault rifles and different kind of semi-automatic weapons so that they can potentially kill cops and military members that are our own citizens and your brothers and sisters and cousins. That's who you want to point rifles at.
Yeah, it's amazing the way that we talk about these different events and how instantaneously one event will become a terrorist act, even if we find out tons of information about the person's personal history that makes it clear that it's a hate crime based in their own self-identification. But this event wasn't a terrorist act, according to the charges. It's all hate crime charges and that sort of thing, which it was a hate crime, but it was a hate crime that was intended to spark a political uprising against African Americans. I don't know if an act could be more of a terrorist act. And of course, Colorado, I mean, that wasn't a terrorist act. The occupation, he was Christian. Didn't matter that they're doing it for religion. The religion of the person committing the act has never traditionally made a difference when we evaluate terrorist acts in America.
Well,
Colorado
almost
wasn't,
never.
Oregon
Almost
wasn't
never.
a terrorist attack. No, I'm joking about Pulse, obviously. That instantaneously, it doesn't matter what else happened because he's a Muslim, it has to be a terrorist attack. And look, we're going to talk later in the show about how the GOP is now trying to say that because the Democrats are not willing to protect the LGBT community because they don't want to just indict all of Islam. But for some reason, the GOP saying that we shouldn't eliminate the loophole that allows you to get a gun if your background check takes longer than 3 days. So for some reason, that's not the GOP turning their back on African Americans to protect a Christian for some reason, even though the legislative options are roughly the same in those cases.
Well, they think the government's going to come after them, though. They think that terrorist watch list makes them not get a gun, so that then, since the government can put anybody on the terrorist watch list, then to keep the guns out of the law-abiding citizens of America, then the government's just going to keep putting them on this terrorist watch list. Like it's a backdoor to against their liberty and their rights. But at the same time, you can see that in Orlando, everybody attending that club had their right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness completely taken away from them due to our own inactions that we are all as a society liable for.
Yeah. And
Well
look,
said.
if you, that was beautiful. And if you fear that you will be mistakenly or even intentionally put on the terrorist watch list so that Obama can take over the country, and I know that that's a very real fear for a lot of Americans, you don't need to worry about being on that list, because I keep getting told on Twitter by right-wingers that it doesn't matter if you make guns illegal, you'll still be able to easily get them. So you don't have to worry. You can still arm yourself.
Good.
Can we just talk a little bit about this whole having guns to fight the government?
That means
You were in
killing
the service,
that means
right? I was in the
This
service.
means killing us.
It means killing
Us.
guys.
Yeah.
It means killing police. It means killing soldiers. It means killing National Guardsmen, elected political officials, and just random bureaucrats.
It's by the same people who say jack shit nothing about sending those same people over to the Middle East to die in the sands over there for a war that means nothing, that we're instigating and creating by our same domestic policy being the same as our foreign policy, where we just create homegrown terrorists and foreign terrorists because we kill innocent people who are their same brothers and sisters.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that they can so often say how they're ready to stand against government tyranny and gun down whoever comes to their door. I would love to have just a sheaf of pictures of members of the military. Which members of our military in particular would you like to gun down if they try to enforce the law?
I
But
got
anyway,
to tell you, though, look, if they rose up and they were committing a bunch of terrorist attacks, they'll find out very quickly that I don't care what kind of fucking assault rifle you have, you don't have drones, you don't have howitzers, you don't have Apache helicopters. So there's no point in living out the fantasy that somehow you are going to fucking overthrow the government with your fucking assault rifle. Because it's not gonna happen. You know how you overthrow the government? You vote, stupid.